K-pop. The lights, the fame, the screams of millions. But behind it all, there's a much darker truth. Demon Hunters isn't just another animated film. It's a world of soul-stealing demons, grim reapers, and sinister boy bands. Music becomes a barrier, and humanity fights to survive. This story isn't just fantasy. It's a reflection of the hidden, dangerous side of K-pop. So the real question is, are idols truly free, or have their souls already been captured by invisible chains? On the surface, K-pop looks like pure perfection, bright stages, flawless choreography, and endless smiles. But the reality is far harsher. Behind the glitter lies a ruthless system. Idols train from early morning until late at night. Their diets are so restricted that some survive on barely 500 or 600 calories a day. That's why in the movie, when the girls casually eat ramen before a performance, it feels unrealistic. But maybe that's the point. Demon Hunters blurs the line between truth and fiction. And honestly, isn't that exactly what K-pop itself does? On stage, it's all an illusion. Behind the curtain, it's something entirely different. The hand-moon barrier in the film is shown as a magical shield powered by music. But in Korean culture, its roots go back much further. Centuries ago, shamans performed rituals to protect villages from evil spirits. They believed that true safety wasn't built on stone walls, but on chants, songs, and voices raised together. The barrier in the film is just a modern echo of that ancient belief. At the center of this barrier are 3 idol girls, Rumi, Miro, and Zoe. Each plays a different role on stage, but all of them carry a far heavier burden off stage. Miro comes from a wealthy family, spoiled and entitled. Zoe seems sweet and innocent, but once she starts rapping, she's fierce and unstoppable. And then there's Rumi. Her story is the darkest of all, because she's half human, half demon. And that secret doesn't just decide her fate, it decides the fate of the entire group. Think about it. Isn't there a parallel between this and real-world K-pop idols? So many of them are forced to hide who they really are, their feelings, their struggles, even their true identities. Media training demands they show the same perfect smile every time. Just like Rumi hiding her demon marks, idols hide their scars and insecurities. Under the stage lights, everything looks flawless, but behind them lies pressure, isolation, and the constant fear of losing themselves. And that leads us to the movie's real question. Can music truly save the world? Or is that just a fantasy? Because today, the music of K-pop idols does give hope to millions. But how many people realize the pain behind the voices that sing it? That's what makes Demon Hunters so fascinating. It mixes reality and myth so well that anyone watching can see a piece of their own life in it. For some, it's just an animation. But if you look closer, you'll see the hidden chains behind K-pop itself. And the biggest question remains, if those chains were ever broken, would the K-pop stage ever be the same again? As the story moves forward, things get even darker. In Demon Hunters, it's not just about music anymore. It's about survival. Rumi, Miro, and Zoe may look like an ordinary K-pop girl group on stage, but in reality, their mission is far greater: to protect humanity from demons. And the only weapon they have is their music, powerful enough to keep the hand-moon barrier alive. But Rumi's secret changes everything. Being half demon makes her both their greatest strength and their biggest threat. Because no matter how powerful an idol may look on stage, behind the scenes, they're always fragile. And isn't that exactly what we see in the real K-pop industry? The life of an idol is rarely in their own hands. It's controlled by companies, managers, and contracts that dictate every move. So when Rumi hides her demon marks, what does that really symbolize? maybe it's not just fantasy. Maybe it's a reflection of what idols in real life are forced to hide: their relationships, their depression, even their true selves. The demon patterns are nothing more than a metaphor for the secrets idols can never reveal. And then comes the demon king, Guima, feeding on people's weaknesses. He offers them power, fame, freedom, whatever they desire. But in exchange, he takes their souls. At first, this feels like pure fantasy. Yet when you look at what happens behind the K-pop stage, is it really that different? Young kids enter the system, and for the promise of stardom, they give up their health, their families, and the most basic human right of all, freedom. This raises a dangerous question. Does fame truly set you free, or does it trap you in chains even stronger than before? At one point in the film, the Demon Boy band makes its appearance. On the surface, they're just handsome singers, but in reality, they're demons sent to steal Huntrix's fans. Think about that for a moment. Isn't this exactly how the K-pop industry works? New groups are created every year, pulling fans away from the old ones. It's a constant battle for attention, almost like a war for people's souls. The movie just transforms that into a literal fight between demons and hunters. But the most tragic part belongs to Rumi. She loses her voice, fails to perform, and disappoints her fans. It's dramatic, yes, but it's also painfully real. In K-pop, you don't get the luxury of failure. You can be sick, broken, or exhausted, and still you're expected to perform. Because one mistake isn't just your own downfall, it can drag down the entire group. When Rumi asks herself, "Am I a demon?" it echoes a much deeper question idols silently ask every day. Who am I really? Am I the person the world sees on stage? Or am I the person hiding in the shadows? Some may dismiss demon hunters as just an animation, but to others it's a bold mirror reflecting the darkest sides of K-pop. Idols who sell their souls for fame, young performers crushed under pressure, music used not as freedom, but as a chain. And perhaps the most unsettling part is the fans themselves. Millions choose to believe the illusion, just like in the film when no one realizes the boy band is made of demons. Even in real life, many fans ignore the suffering of idols because it's easier to hold on to the fantasy. So the real question remains, is Demon Hunters just a story? Or is it exposing a hidden truth that the world of K-pop would rather keep in the shadows? By the time Demon Hunters reaches its finale, the stage is no longer just a concert. It has become a battlefield. Huntrix stand before millions, singing their final song, but the lyrics are no longer just melodies. Every word, every note, is a weapon deciding the fate of humanity. And across from them is Guima. He's no longer a simple demon king. He has devoured countless souls, turning into a monstrous shadow ready to consume everything. The lights flash, the crowd screams, and yet, no one realizes the war that's unfolding right before their eyes. Just like in the real world, everything looks like a performance from the outside. But behind the curtain, the struggle is heavier than anyone can imagine. At that moment, Rumi stops hiding. Her demon marks cover the stage. For years, she had buried them, ashamed, afraid, but in this final moment, she understands. True strength doesn't come from hiding. It comes from being seen. She steps forward, showing her scars to the world, and that honesty shines brighter than any perfect song. That's when the hand moon barrier bursts into golden light, because acceptance of the truth is far more powerful than any illusion. But notice what happens next. The audience doesn't focus on her demon marks. They focus on the conflict within the group. Isn't that exactly what happens in reality? Fans and media rarely notice the real suffering of idols. Instead, they cling to the scandals, the drama, the tiny details. The real pain gets ignored. the real story remains invisible. Guima is defeated, the barrier restored. But the bigger question lingers. Is this just fantasy, or is it a mirror held up to the K-pop industry? Because every idol, just like Rumi, is forced to hide something. Love, depression, identity, scars that no one is allowed to see. And that's the brilliance of Demon Hunters. On the surface, it's fantasy. But underneath, it's exposing the darkest truths of modern K-pop. Idols selling their souls for fame. Young performers crushed under impossible pressure. Music not as freedom, but as chains. And so we have to ask, does fame truly free you? Or does it only bind you in chains stronger than before? In the final scene, Huntrix's voices rise. And what we realize is this: true power doesn't come from being flawless. It comes from standing on stage as you are, even with your flaws, even with your scars. Rumi's marks were never her shame. They were her strength. Because no idol or any person can ever be free while hiding who they truly are. Now think about the real world. The headlines we've all seen. Idols collapsing from exhaustion, restrictive diets, endless training, contracts that feel more like cages, and yet fans continue to believe in the illusion. Isn't that exactly what the film shows us? A glamorous stage that hides a battlefield underneath. So here's the question. If those invisible chains ever broke, would the K-pop stage remain the same? Could idols stand in front of the world without hiding? And would the world still love them the same way? Or do we, as fans, secretly prefer the illusion? That's what makes Demon Hunters so striking. It's not just animation, it's a mirror. Some will only see fantasy, but those who look closer will see a confession, a warning, a truth. And now I leave the question to you. Was Rumi's story pure fiction, or was it a metaphor for the real struggles inside the K-pop industry? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you want more untold stories, more hidden truths behind the spotlight, make sure to subscribe. Like this video, leave a comment, and stay tuned, because we're only just getting started. Remember, behind every smile on stage, there's an untold story, and here together, we will uncover them all.